Hey everyone, it's Cece here, and in today's video tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these really gorgeous macrame fridge magnets. So the first magnet I'm going to show you how to make is a cute little spiral magnet, and for this you'll need 5 cords cut to 50 centimeters in length each, and you'll also need a hot glue gun and a comb. So just to start, we're going to grab one of the cords and you're going to create a little loop at the end like so. Then just grabbing another cord and folding that cord in half. We're going to take this cord and attach it using a Larks head knot around this crisscross part of our loop here. So what you'll end up with is one cord attached using a Larks head knot around that crisscross in the middle there. So I'm just going to also do that with the next cord, folding it in half and then attaching it to this loop using a Larks head knot. So you'll end up with something like this. We're just going to attach the last 2 cords on this side, again using a Larks head knot. And then we grab our long end and we're going to pull so that all of our strings come together like so. So we'll be left with this round of strings that we're going to now knot with, and a little short bit which we're just going to tuck to the back for now. So now I'm going to find that longer cord that was looped around in the center and bring it over the top of the next cords. And then using these cords, I'm going to create a double half hitch knot. So coming around and looping them both using a half hitch. So there's my double half hitch. And if you don't know how to create the double half hitch knot, I do have a tutorial, so make sure you check that one out online. And now I'm just going to do exactly the same thing with the next cord in the group. And then moving along to the next cord in the group. And continuing my way around, so I'm using all of these cords. And I'm creating a double half hitch knot with each one. So you can see I'm just working my way around the circle, creating double half hitch knots. And that's what creates that little spiral in the center. Now, if you wanted to make your magnet any bigger, you could. You could just add some extra cords whenever you find there's a bit of a gap and continue spiraling this around to make a bigger magnet. But for me, I think that that's a good size and I'm going to leave it now as it is. So I'm going to cut all my ends. And then I'm just going to grab my comb and comb out all of the ends here. I'm going to trim them again because I think they're a bit long, so just making them a bit shorter. And so now that I'm happy with my finished little spiral magnet, I just flip it to the back and you'll still have that little short end, so you can just snip that off. And then I'm just going to grab my bit of magnet and stick this to the back of my spiral. So I've got my glue gun all heated up and I'm just going to put on a generous dollop of this glue and then push the magnet into place. And so now my cute little spiral magnet is ready to stick up on the fridge. So now I'm going to show you how to create the little mini macrame rainbow magnet, which is super cute, and you'll need a few things for this project. You're going to need a couple of different colors in the thin macrame cotton cord. So I'm using a 1.5mm twisted cotton cord today, and you could use something from a 1mm to a 2mm for this part of the project. You're also going to need some thicker cord for the inside of the rainbows. So today I'm using a twisted cotton cord in a 5mm, but you could also use something a bit thicker to make your rainbows a bit chunkier. You will also need some wire to put on the inside of each section of the rainbow to hold it in that arch shape. So I'm using a very thin bendable wire today. Anything like this will do nicely. You're also going to need a pair of wire cutters, some scissors, a comb, and also a hot glue gun. So to start, you're just going to grab a section of your thick cord and create the little arch that you want, and then cut the length that you need. And then you're also going to grab some of your wire and cut off a small section which will sit on the inside of the arch. So you don't need it to be the full length of your rope, just about half, I would say. So grabbing my wire cutters and cutting this. And so now I'm going to start with my green color, and I'm just going to cut a very long piece of string, probably around the 2-meter mark. And so now I'm going to take this string and I'm going to create a loop that is about the same length as my thick piece of cord. And so I'm creating a bit of a wrap knot here. So essentially now I'm going to start wrapping around this part of my string using this end of my cord here. And I also want to wrap around my loop. So wrapping nice and tight around my cord. So you'll see that I have my cord wrapped around the thicker cord, and also that little end is sticking out the bottom there. Just going to continue to wrap all the way along this length here. And I'm also just going to place my wire in here and include that in my wrap. So now I've wrapped all the way along that length of string, and now I'm just going to take my end of cord and place it through this loop here and pull it. Doesn't really matter which way you feed it through. And then grabbing this other end, I'm going to pull on this end and see how that loop disappeared inside my wrap. This will just hold all of this in place. So I'm just going to keep pulling until this disappears inside my wrap knot. Perfect. So now I just need to cut my two ends here and here. And so here is my first rainbow section, and because that wire is in place there, I can bend it into shape very easily. So I'm just going to create another two sections that sit inside this top section here, using my pink and then my cream color. Starting again with the thick cord and just measuring how much I need. We will trim this at the end, so it doesn't need to be too perfect at the moment. Again, grabbing my wire and just cutting a small section. And then grabbing my pink cord, and because this piece is a bit shorter this time, I probably don't need quite as much string, so I might only cut 1 meter or so. And I'm making my loop and then just starting my wrap here, wrapping around the thick cord and that loop. And then once I've got that started, just grabbing my wire, popping it inside there and also including it. Alright, so I finished my wrap. I'm just going to bend it in shape and check that it's long enough. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do a few more wraps. And now again, just finishing my wrap knot by feeding my end through the loop and pulling on the other side so that loop comes through. And that will just lock everything in place. Cutting my ends. Bending in shape. And now we have our second little section. I'll just make one more. Alright, so here are my 3 sections all finished. And I'm just noting that this little white section here is probably a bit long. So if you find that the case, then you can just grab your wrap and kind of slide it up slightly, pushing those wraps closer together, and then that will adjust the length. So I'm much happier with that now. And so now we're going to hot glue these 3 sections together. So I've preheated my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to start with this middle section and run some glue along the top here a little bit. Grab my next section and push that in place. and then doing that again. Now our rainbow is all joined together. So I'm just going to cut my ends so they're all the same length. Then I'm just going to brush these out with a comb so they're nice and fluffy. And the final thing left to do is to flip my rainbow to the back, grab my little piece of magnet, put on a generous dollop of hot glue in the center, and then pop on that magnet. So here is my finished little rainbow magnet. It's got the magnet stuck to the back, and it's ready to pop up on the fridge. Now this next magnet is a super cute little mini wall hanging that you can put on your fridge, and I just love anything that's mini. So what I've got here is a shish kebab that I've just cut to my length that I need. So let's see, that's about 8 centimeters. And then I've also sanded the ends so they're not rough. And then for the next part, you'll need 6 cords cut to about 50 centimeters in length each. And I'm using a 3mm twisted cotton cord. So I'm just going to attach my cords to this stick using a Larks head knot. So all I'm doing is folding the cord in half, folding it around and pulling the ends through. If you don't know how to create a Larks head knot, I do have a tutorial available, so I'll leave the link to that in the description below. I'm just going to attach all 6 of the cords using a Larks head knot. Also a note with this project, you wouldn't want to use any more than a 3mm, I think. Any thicker than that for your string, and it would just be too thick for the little mini hanger. Now I'm making sure they're all nice and tight, and then I'm just going to squish them in together, and you should have something that looks like this. So now I'm just going to clip it up here so it's held in place nicely for me. And I'm just going to create a row of 3 square knots. So taking the first 4 cords and creating 1 square knot here. Creating another square knot with the next group of 4 cords, and then finally creating a square knot with the last group of 4 cords. So now I'm just going to take the 2 cords from either side away, and then using these cords create 2 square knots. So grabbing these 4 cords here, creating a square knot with these 4. And then grabbing the next 4 over and creating a square knot with these 4. Then I'm just going to bring my 2 cords from either side back down and create another row of 3 square knots, exactly the same as that first row. So I'm just going to again repeat the same thing I did with that second row. So just placing the 2 cords from either side off and then using these 4 cords to create a square knot. And then the next 4 to create a square knot. I'm then going to grab the middle 4 cords, so take those 4 away. I've got my middle 4 here, and just creating one final square knot with these 4 cords. So that's all our knotting finished. Now all I have to do is grab my scissors and trim my little mini wall hanging. Alright, so I'll just unclip this, and you can see it's a very cute little mini macrame wall hanging that we can hang up on our fridge. So to finish it off, we're just going to flip it around. I actually like the look of this side better, so I'm going to stick my magnet on this side. So I've just got a little piece of magnet like this, and I'm just going to grab my hot glue gun. Put a nice dollop of glue in the center, and then place my magnet on like so, pressing nice and firmly so it's held in place. And there is our cute little mini wall hanging, ready to go up on the fridge. So there you go guys, 3 quick and easy ways to make a macrame magnet for your fridge. I really hope that you have enjoyed today's tutorials and you try these patterns out for yourself at home. Thanks so much for watching, and here's to finding our peace and creativity.